Zaxi changed your lifestyle?
Well, I'd say we have to plan more, but at the same time we can't make plans. So we have to plan more because we can't just say, oh, I want to go see a movie tonight. We have to plan and get a babysitter, and I have to unfreeze breast milk, ideally 12 hours before we want to leave him. So yeah, it requires a lot of planning, but then at the same time, we can't plan because sometimes this kid sleeps 30 minutes for a nap and sometimes 2 hours. So it's kind of hard to plan a lunch date with a friend at noon if he just needs to take a nap at that time. So,
yeah, I think this kid is, apparently a baby just changes everything, you know? It's almost like it's the title of our thing today. Anyway, so for him, I feel like every time, before when I was in a room, I almost had no worries, just on my phone, on the computer, whatever. But now it seems like if he's just randomly standing somewhere at any moment, he might just fall over and smack his face on the wall or something like that, and you just can't be.
electrocute himself.
Yeah, well, he hasn't done that yet. But that's the kind of thing. It just seems like we kind of have to be on guard a little bit more each moment because, you know, he's just always doing something like this. Like
He's curious.
The microphone. Like, yeah, you can't plan for that.
To branch off of that, what are some unexpected things that have changed since having a baby?
Well, I'd say for me, I've become more patient with kids and less patient with adults. I think it was the opposite before I had a baby. I didn't really understand kids, like how do they not know they're gonna die if they suck on that cord or like the electrical outlet, or how can they not think critically about these decisions? But now I understand he's just so innocent and so uneducated. Like, he just doesn't understand yet, you know? Whereas I'm like, adults, you can read a book. I mean, you have Google. There's lots of things you can educate yourself on. But anyway, so I'm trying to work on, now that those things have switched, trying to learn how to be patient with both adults and children.
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question for me? Unexpected. Oh, man. Babies just get sick, and they do weird things. This is kind of intense, but like, you know, we thought like, oh, we're just gonna have a baby, then we're gonna go home, but 3 days later he got a crazy infection all over his entire body, and it looked like he was a burn victim. I mean, it was so bad. And then like our first week as parents became this thing where we just were looking at our child helplessly and didn't know what to do. You know, he would have to get this ointment put on his body and he would scream through it. And I think that it's just unexpected to feel like you have this little person or body or thing you're supposed to take care of, but it's really difficult to know what to do when you're new at it, you know? So I think that's definitely was unexpected. Usually I feel like I can accomplish anything, but in some moments when you feel completely powerless, it's just really tough.
Yeah, because you want to protect them from everything, but you just can't. And I guess we should have expected that, but it hurts and it's more difficult than you would imagine. Like when you're in this situation like that, how difficult it is.
Okay, so to close off with, how would you say Zaxi has changed your heart and the way you view life?
Yeah, before I had children, I had a lot of fears, selfishness, and insecurities about having children. And I'd say, although I still have those things to some extent, God has really worked in my heart because I'm more driven by like my love for Him and desire to like make sure, as my grandpa says, that He's happy, healthy, and holy. And so, yeah, I'd say like I try to work on those fears, selfishness, and insecurities so that I can be a good mom to him, and yeah.
So I think one thing that's really special to me is that we put him to bed each time. You can't just like be like, all right, Zaxi, go to bed now, you know, and he crawls into his room and gets in his bed. Like, you actually have to do that for him, you know. You go into the room, you rock him, you read him a book, you pray, you sing a song, and then, you know, he's kind of like, all the cartoon movies, like slowly closing his eyes, and then you get to set him down, and he screams, or he goes to bed. One of the two. But the actual process of being able to hold him and sing and help calm him, I think, to be honest, like, I really struggle in my relationship with God to understand what a father to us is like. But now I think I just realize, like, he is like so helpless. Like, if I let go right now, he'd just fall off of my body and hit the ground, you know? And so just to know and realize, like, he depends on me so much, and it just puts this responsibility in my heart, and it makes him just freaking love him so much, you know? Like, I'm just so thankful to have him and know that I can, you know, help him. But at the same time, he's just, look at him, he's helpless, you know? Like, he really just can't do anything, and I think it just puts this understanding in my heart more of, like, when God helps me, what that looks like. So I think it's changed my heart a lot. But that's one of my.
And that's all for the interview. Please give a round of applause.
Teenage girl, much too young, unprepared for what's to come. Not a ring on her head, all her dreams and all her plans. The man she loves, she's never touched. How will she keep his trust? A baby changes everything. A baby changes everything. She has to leave far away. Heaven knows.
Okay.
She can't stay. She can feel
Are you okay?
it's coming soon. There's no
Are
place.
you okay? Is everything good?
There's no room. A baby changes everything. A baby changes everything. And she my whole life has turned around. I was lost, but now I'm found. A baby changes everything. A baby changes everything.
All right, great video. I like that. I'm just here today to talk to you for a couple of minutes about the historical significance of the Christmas story. We can talk about religion and spirituality and doctrinal issues all day long. We all know there are a lot of arguments and disagreements and debates about that. I encourage you to read, research, ask questions, debate, have those tough conversations about those things. That's not what I'm talking about today. Today what I want to talk about is the reality behind the story of Christmas. The true story of a single baby that was born that changed all of humanity for all time. We're talking about a baby born in obscurity in the Roman Empire. It's estimated at the time that the world's population was around 300 million people. Based on those calculations, that would mean about 3.5 to 5 million people were born a year. And that comes down to about 10 to 12,000 babies per day born at the time when Jesus was born. 10 to 12,000 babies a day and just one of those has changed all of human history. We know very little about the other 10 to 12,000 babies born that day, but the story of Jesus has lasted for over 2,000 years. Just looking at this story from a historical perspective, there's no one on earth that has ever been born that has affected as many people as Jesus. Whether you believe in Christ, whether you believe that your salvation comes from Christ, you can't deny the historical significance and impact of this one life on all of humanity. There are now over 2.3 billion Christians in the world. That's nearly a third of the world's population. This all from a guy who never traveled further than half the distance from Bangkok to Chiang Mai to talk, to share with people. That's more people than there are followers on Facebook. Do you think Facebook will last? Will we be talking about Facebook 20 years from now? Will people even know what Facebook is 2,000 years from now? There's never been a president, prime minister, king, ruler, dictator, religious leader, anyone that has affected the amount of people that Jesus affected when he came. Jesus only traveled and taught for 3 years. That's less than the amount of time that most of you will be in high school here at ICS. Think about how quickly that time is going by. In those 3 years, Jesus walked and taught people and shared with people and loved people. And because of that, we're still talking about it more than 2,000 years later. I think this is too significant to be just simple coincidence. The fact that I'm here, and that your teachers are here, and that you're sitting in these seats at a Christian international school in Thailand is too significant to be coincidence. Because of this one baby, born in a barn, sent by God to save me and to save you, all of humanity changed forever. Next, you're going to see a short animation created by Pooh to demonstrate how the Christmas story had a miraculous impact on people in an impossible situation during World War II.
All right, cut and turn off the camera. Cut and turn off the camera.
If you told me all about your sorrows, I'll tell you about a cure. If you told me you can't fight the battle, there's a baby boy who won the war. The war's won by a baby boy. Joy.
This is an ordinary night, like many other nights. Negotiating prices and trying to stay awake as we pass time waiting for customers who came out of the bar late one night. Me and I were making jokes, playing cards, and watching video on YouTube. This seemed like every other night before. As a high school dropout, this life is as good as it will get. I don't have hope for my future. But at least I could enjoy my friends as we wait for customers. Life is what it is. I don't expect to be remembered in a high story when I am gone. I'm just a simple motorcycle driver. Want to enjoy life.
It was an ordinary night. I had just finished FaceTiming with Joe, and my mind was full of thoughts of our love and happily ever after. I just wanted to sit and dream of the future. But there was a U.S. history exam to study for, a capstone essay to write, my college apps to finish, and the SAT exam to study for, and Mr. G kept pushing us to memorize our lines for the school play. Basically, a night like many others. As I look back on it, it feels like a lifetime ago. Things that seemed so important then don't seem so important now. And as I think about that night, I was totally unaware that everything was about to change.
It was an ordinary night, as far as those things go. The students at Oxford University of Science and Astronomical Research had asked me to speak at their weekly meetings, as they often do. So I did, and I had just finished lecturing them on electromagnetic radiation and just microgravity resulting from black holes and...
Excuse me, Professor, I think you're getting a little bit off topic. We wanted to share about the event that happened after the meeting when we were looking up at the sky.
Oh. You guys are getting extra credit. So yeah, I had just finished my lecture and we all went outside and I saw it then. It was so bright, so clear. It was very distinct and at first I thought I was dreaming because, well, I am a professor at Britain and it's tiring. But all the students confirmed it as well and they saw it too. And the first thought that came into my mind was, could this be the star? And obviously I had heard rumors about the stars. There were lots of other tales about the star, and that's all I thought they were. Just that, merely tales. But we wanted to be sure, so we checked into our manuscripts and went back as far as our logs could take us. And throughout the entire research, only one thought encompassed us all. Could this be the star that the world had been waiting for?
It was an ordinary night, like so many others. Well, as much as you can call a date with Maria ordinary. She was breathtaking and delightful. At her school, she was admired by all the girls and all the guys that envious of me. But after changing to past tense, she was admired by all. Until that night that started out so ordinarily. I was about to finish my business program, and my online business of custom-made furnitures was about to take off. I believe that if I have waited for Maria to go to college and get her degree, I would receive her parents' blessings. She was definitely a prize worth waiting for. But on that date, she told me that she was pregnant, and she expected me to believe that the baby was a child of God. Until then, I believed in everything she said, but the betrayal was nothing like I've ever felt before. I felt sadness, rage, and despair. My life was shattered by her revelation. She didn't only fool me, but fooled everyone who knew her.
An ordinary night at a hotel means a busy night. I mean, guests are in and out at every hour of the night. I'm thankful to work at such a successful job, but I really don't like working these late night shifts. At the end of the shift, my feet, they always hurt. But this job, it pays well, and so I guess I'm happy for now. I remember this night in particular because it was a super rainy night. It was rainy season and all the streets were completely flooded. And so all the guests that I planned to check out tonight couldn't. They were stuck. And so they had nowhere to go, and so they had to stay at our hotel an extra night. And so all of our rooms were completely full.
When the bright light blinded us, my fear was immediate. Oh, I can't believe this is real. Had I too many beers? Had I smoked something more than cigarette? But I look at my friends, they were all shaken too. Oh, we look into the light and we see a man speaking to us. He said, "Do not be afraid." Oh, it's too late. He speaks of good news that will bring joy to all people. He told us exactly where to find a baby in the center of Bangkok. So my friend, we look at each other, scared. Then many more shining men join, and they sing of glory for God and peace for all men. We, after they're gone, look at each other, experience the same thing. So we are all sober and quiet. We decided to go to the address we were given.
Yeah. Pregnant at 18, not my parents' dream for their daughter. Or Joe. It was hard for me to imagine the pain on his face the night that I had told him.
Hand to the left, right?
But when I thought back to the night that changed everything, I couldn't be sorry. When the angel appeared to me, I was shocked and scared. I never could have imagined anything like this. But he reassured me and explained that there was no reason to fear. And I don't understand why I was chosen, but I felt a peace. And when the angel appeared to me, I believed him. And when he said that there was no reason to fear and that God would work everything for good, I trusted him. It was a lonely time for me. Life had completely changed. My reputation had been stripped away from me, and I won't pretend it was easy. But as my tummy grew, my hope grew as well. And when Joe texted me saying that he too had been visited by an angel and would be supportive of me, my joy was complete.
As the magnitude of our discovery became more and more apparent, we considered what we could do with our research. We considered posting all the studies on a science journal. We even considered posting it on Twitter, or just talking to other researchers and figuring out if we could pool all our resources and data together to come to a conclusion. We could even contact the government. But ultimately, we spent hours debating as to what we should do. We looked into the pros and cons of every option. And you see, what fascinated me the most was that this entire thing, if you look into it, when neutron merger stars collide.
I think you're getting off topic again.
Did you do that?
You guys are getting extra credit again. Okay, so back on topic. Yeah, we considered every option, but the star just seemed to be calling to us. And so, like sensible people, we packed our luggage and set sail. Our journey consisted of a lot of rides. There were trains, planes, buses, taxis, cars, and I believe tuk-tuk ride? Oh, it was a tuk-tuk ride, I believe, what they call it here. And ultimately we arrived at a hotel in Sukhumvit Road. Sukhumvit Road.
In one way, life couldn't be any better. After it, an angel came to me and told me that I was a part of a bigger story, a story much bigger than just two young people living an ordinary life. I felt peace, and I'm determined to do my best to help Maria. Even though we were young, we got married. And as I pledged my life to her, I also pledged my life to do my best to raise the baby, God's own child. The baby wouldn't only change our lives, but the baby would change the whole world. In another way, life is falling apart. No one would ever want to do a business with a person who they thought had made a schoolgirl pregnant. Both of our parents hardly ever talked to us again, and Maria dropped out of her school. But if it wasn't because of our faith in God, our shame would have destroyed us. As time drew near for her to give birth, it was rainy season. I was afraid that the flood wouldn't allow me to go to the hospital in time, so we decided to move downtown and stayed in a hotel near the hospital. We were weary and exhausted.
I hated to turn them away, but I mean, we had no rooms. It was completely full. And the young couple, they looked exhausted. And you could tell that the young girl, she was really close. Her time was really close. But I thought about the utilities closet in the basement. It's where we keep our brooms and our cleaning supplies, and it's where the rest of our staff kind of rest when they don't have a shift. And it's not the cleanest place. You've got like tukkae and like tingtok, and you got all the stuff there. But at least they'd be dry from the floodwaters, and they'd have a roof over their heads. So I thought, why not? But I never expected that the baby would come so quickly. And I never expected the baby to come in our hotel, in the basement utilities closet, and on my watch, never. But when the motorcycle drivers came and they brought all their cigarette butts and all their dirty mud and they dragged in all the stuff, I was really mad because they had gotten all the clean floors dirty. And then the scientists came from England and they kept asking, where is this baby that is said to bring hope to the world? I knew that there had to be something. So we took them all down to the basement, and there we saw them. Young mother, baby, and adoring father. And looking at them, somehow I just knew that my life would never be the same again. I just knew that this baby had changed everything.
So gather around, you children, come. Listen to the old stories of the power of death undone, by an infant born of glory, Son of God, Son of Man. So gather around, remember now how creation held its breath, how it let out a sigh and filled up the sky with the angels. Son of God, Son of Man. So sing out with joy for and sing and remember now His mercy and sing out with joy for the brave little boy is our Savior, Son of God, Son of Man.
Depiction of what it might look like if Jesus was born today, and as part of this idea of a baby changes everything. Back in the Old Testament, there's a verse in the book of Isaiah which says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given." Now, as I was thinking about this, and you can see up on the screen, I've highlighted a certain letter in the word us. Because you can't have us without you. See, you are an important part of us. And you are an important part of the context of this story. You see, babies continue to change everything. We've heard about how when they're young, they dramatically change your life, and if anyone has a younger brother or sister, you would know that they change everything. But even as they grow, they continue to change everything. I know my mum and dad still worry about me. I ring them back in Australia, and they're still worried about something happening to me while I'm here in Thailand. And so they can't separate that. The fact that as once I was a baby, can you believe that? It's hard to believe that these very good looks weren't always there. But yes, once I was a baby, but my parents still care for me, my parents still love me, and in the same way, God still loves you. It's not a story that we reflect on that just happened 2,000 years ago, but it has relevance today. The next thing we're going to look at is how God and how this story of this baby is still changing people's lives today through our cardboard testimonies.
If I told you my story, you would hear hope that wouldn't let go. And if I told you my story, you would hear love that never gave up. And if I told you my story, you would hear life, but it wasn't mine. If I should speak, then let it be of the grace that is greater than all my sin, of when justice was served and where mercy wins, of the kindness of Jesus that draws me in. Oh, to tell you my story is to tell of Him. If I told you my story, you would hear a victory over the enemy. And if I told you my story, you would hear freedom that was won for me. And if I told you my story, you would hear life overcome
we like today? How is it relevant to us? And just as I was thinking about this earlier, I found an image as well that I kind of pictured in my head. You know, if this was today, how Joseph and Mary would have reacted. The phone would have been out, selfie, posted on Instagram, spread all around the world. And I think it's important for us to think about that, because this story is relevant. This story is still relevant, and if anything, it's probably more relevant than it was when it happened. I also like to think, you know, if this was the scene that instead of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, maybe the wise man or the motorcycle. How good were the motorcycle taxi drivers? I thought they were pretty. Yeah, let's give them a check. But yeah, I'm sure they would have bought like Gucci, Dior, and Polo Ralph Lauren fragrances to Jesus instead of what they bought. But the thing is that babies still change everything. And this particular baby we're talking about still has an impact in lots of people's lives. And I know he's had an impact in my life. One of the words that was used to describe or given to Jesus when he was born was Emmanuel. And that word means God with us. You see, it wasn't just about the baby. When my wife had our first child, we went to these classes called prenatal classes. And they taught us about like what would happen when the baby came. They kind of said, oh, this is what the doctors will do. This is kind of what to expect, and it's not, you know, it's not exact science, but here's the general rundown of hopefully what happens if everything goes well. The problem is that hopefully doesn't take too long, but really that birth is one day out of the rest of that life. And then you use all this knowledge, and then you take the baby home, and you kind of get home with this baby, and you think, well, now what? What do I do now? And so the point there is that it continues to impact your life. It continues to change your life. And I know Jesus wants to still have a part to play in your life. I know Jesus wants to have a relationship with you. And that's why God sent him to earth, so that we could know that God is with us. And remember that you can't spell us without you. So today, I want you to know that this baby came for you. This baby came that it might change your life as it's changed my life. Thanks for listening.